This is VOA News. I'm David Byrd in Washington. Several strong aftershocks are reported to have hit the Indonesian island of Sulawesi after more than 400 people were killed in an earthquake and a massive tsunami that followed it Friday. Reuters reporter Matthew Larotonda says the death toll is expected to rise.
Indonesia's emergency minister said some people were on the beach when the tsunami warning was sounded, but didn't immediately leave and became victims. The government's describing the damage as extensive. They say thousands of buildings have collapsed, including hospitals. Makeshift medical centers are being set up outdoors. The quakes are reported as 7.5 and 7.7 magnitude, with aftershocks that have continued into the weekend. The disaster has also triggered widespread power outages, making rescue efforts slower. Indonesia's president will visit the area on Sunday. The country is regularly hit by earthquakes. In August, a series of tremors destroyed dozens of villages on another island and killed over 500.
Matthew Larotonda of Reuters. North Korea's foreign minister, that is, said Saturday his government would not denuclearize before it has sufficient trust in the United States. We get details from AP's Julie Walker.
Ri Young-ho was speaking through a translator at the United Nations General Assembly. He called on the U.S. to follow through on promises made during a summit in Singapore between the rivals' leaders.
Without any trust in the U.S., there will be no confidence in our national security, and under such circumstances, there is no way we will unilaterally disarm ourselves first.
Ri says continued sanctions won't work.
The perception that sanctions can bring us on our knees is a pipe dream of the people who are ignorant about us.
Julie Walker, New York.
For more, visit our website. This is VOA News. President Donald Trump has spoken out in support of his Supreme Court nominee, Judge Brett Kavanaugh, calling him a good man and saying he expects things to turn out very well for him. As AP's Ben Thomas reports, Trump's statement came after one of Kavanaugh's accusers agreed to cooperate with an FBI investigation into sexual assault allegations.
Deborah Ramirez says Brett Kavanaugh exposed himself to her at a party when they were both students at Yale University in the 1980s, an allegation Kavanaugh has denied and labeled a smear. Now her lawyer says the FBI has contacted Ramirez as part of its renewed background investigation of the Supreme Court nominee, and she has agreed to cooperate. Senate leaders agreed to delay a final vote on Kavanaugh's nomination to allow for a one-week FBI probe of the accusations. The Senate Judiciary Committee says the investigation should be limited to current credible allegations against Kavanaugh and be finished by next Friday. Ben Thomas, Washington.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan wrapped up a three-day visit to Germany Saturday with a visit to Cologne, where tight security kept supporters and protesters away from a ceremony to open the country's largest mosque. In his speech at the Central Mosque, Erdogan struck a conciliatory note, but he also called on Germany to crack down on Kurdish separatists and to extradite supporters of the cleric Fethullah Gulen residing in Germany. He said, "We will continue to protect our citizens regardless of wherever they are. We will not allow a group of incompetent FETÖ and PKK sympathizers to unsettle our citizens and damage Turkish-German friendship." Erdogan was invited to Germany for a three-day state visit in an attempt to mend ties hit by a crackdown on his opponents following a failed coup attempt in 2016. Nigeria's ruling party has nominated President Muhammadu Buhari as its candidate to stand for re-election in February of next year. Buhari had run unopposed on Friday in a nationwide primary for nomination as the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress. The main opposition People's Democratic Party has not yet selected a candidate to oppose him. The Israeli military detonated on Saturday what it said were explosive devices and grenades hurled at troops by Gaza protesters on Friday. The military said more than 100 such devices were lobbed over the frontier on Friday in a protest in which more than 20,000 people took part. 7 people, including 2 children, were killed when Israeli soldiers fired on protesters at the border. For more on these stories, visit our website, voanews.com. I'm David Byrd, VOA News.